All right, we good? All right, cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the Blood Prison Shakedown today. Special guest, haunt guy, music guy, does everything. Rick Thomas from the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Man,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Doing great. So let's get right into it, man. I've been dying to have you on. We've worked together on, a few projects. It's been great. So Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. If you guys haven't been to the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse yet, because you're relatively new, it was what, 16 was the first year or 17?
Let me check the shirt. 2016 is when Vaughn, the owner, he bought that property. It was an actual old slaughterhouse out in Chippewa Lake. He bought the property. He opened first year at 2017 was his first year. Maybe 2016 was his first year.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the first year was. I wasn't involved the year one.
Right.
I hadn't even heard about it, which is weird because being only an hour away, you would think I would have heard of it and being just into haunted houses. But he didn't really have any marketing or anything rolling yet. He just had the property. Through a mutual friend that worked at the Agora where I play shows all the time. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, I got this buddy Vaughn, and he bought this property. He's like, I know you do haunted houses and you work with Fear Experience and stuff, and he's looking for some help. So I'm like, I give him my number. Didn't think it would turn into anything. Right. 'Cause I've had people do it all the time, like, oh yeah, I would come down and help. And it's like turns into like,
all talk.
Nothing, all talk.
Yeah.
So went down, met with him, and we instantly hit it off, and
sweet,
talked for hours, and went and looked at the property and was like blown away at the work that he did for only being like his first year. And he even said, he's like, bought this property not knowing what I'm doing, but I love haunted houses. Yeah. So he knew the property was cool.
Yeah.
And he, had to jump on it, and I'm glad he did, because it's definitely, aside from Blood Prison, I think in this area, it's the only like unique haunt. Everything else is like it's in a typical type building. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. Modular walls and stuff like that. Like Blood Prison is an actual location.
Right.
It's
exactly.
an actual prison. So this being an actual slaughterhouse has that vibe. So as long as you don't screw it up by putting circus tents in it, and
here we go,
running around with clowns.
Here we go.
Keep it slaughterhouse themed.
I've got the clowns ready, man.
I bet you do. That's a whole topic. But
get Brian in here and just let you guys dish on it.
Right, but try to not get too caught up on that story. But yeah, he's like, yeah, if you want to come down and help out, that'd be cool. So started going down there. Because Fear Experience wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah,
we were in Parma, so we weren't in that building anymore. Not honestly, we lost building. I worked for them. It was Nick and Max's haunted house. I was just one of the main set people there. So that building was gone. Everything got thrown in a dumpster. I cried, and
yeah, man, that's rough.
So years there was nothing going on. So met Vaughn, and he kind of was like, yeah, just do whatever, it'd be great. So let me have complete artistic freedom. He's like, yeah, do whatever. So I already had a cool layout to start with. It wasn't like, yeah, start from scratch and we got to build all these walls and stuff. So it was like literally got to just make a cool building just look more authentic and try to turn it into like, I got his story he had with the whole Carver family and things. So I'm like, okay, well, I see where you're going for. Let's elevate it, and he was all about it, on board with everything. Anything I brought up, he's like, yep, sounds great. Full trust, which I've never really had anyone out the gate.
Right.
Fully just go, yeah, do whatever you want. So that was awesome. And then, I helped out because there was barely a Facebook. There wasn't, any social media. There was nothing. He took out like some billboards or something like that, I think, did some like a little bit of radio, but, just kind of was like, we got to do this, that. My girlfriend Elizabeth redid the logo for him. So it just one thing after another. And then it only took a year to get that place on the map.
Right.
So where people started hearing about it. Yep. The attendance was instantly tripled because of, all these things. The show, has been improving over the years. It's like anything else. You never want to stop upgrading and making it cooler, especially with that location. But, it's definitely this year with all the upgrades we've done, it's pretty close to, I think, being like, okay, we're good for a minute. A lot's been done in 4 years. He's thrown down a lot to like make that happen. because you don't have time to really
Right.
mess around. You can't be like, oh, well, we'll just market it and it kind of sucks. But,
Yeah.
you know, because word of mouth gets around, and when you're something
Yep.
people have to drive to, you can't suck. Like, you can be a haunt in, like, the middle of, you know, a popular area and kind of suck and draw people, but you know, because there's places all around that do that
Right.
just fine, where I'm like, how are people going to that place? But they are, because it's close, it's 10 minutes away, and
Sure.
it's where all the high school kids go. But when you're a destination haunt, it's gotta be unique, and that place is definitely unique. So
Sure.
very, very lucky and fortunate to have met Vaughn and
Yeah.
to work there for him, and it's great.
Well, being kind of the newer one, I mean, we got people come in to do reviews or whatever, and I always send them more. I say, you guys got to go check this haunt out, because we went to it, had a great time. It was great. I don't want to give anything away, but there was quite a few, and it went on forever. It seemed like, I'm like, man, it's like we've been here for a while, and that was kind of the part that I was most surprised about, was like how long you were in there, and now you're talking about the upgrades and how much more you're doing. So
Yeah.
we don't open until October 1st, so I've got like you guys, and then the Hoorah, and there's one other one we want to hit before we open.
When is Hoorah open? I gotta check that out. Everything's always open when I'm open, so it's like
They're trying to open early. I think he said like the 18th.
That'd be cool, because we're September 25th is our day, so I'll have to check that out if it's open early.
It's fun. I hope he is able to establish like he did, and he was the same way. He was in Ashley, Ohio, which is just this tiny little town, it's got a drive-through in a little dairy bar.
Nah.
You know what I mean? It was really nothing. Of a town, but like, people would go there to check that haunt out. And I imagine, I'm not sure how big the town is you're in, but you're kind of closer
it's
to
small, but I mean, Medina's not far.
Right.
I mean, it's, 20-minute drive and you're in, other Cuyahoga County area, so, but it is out, Chippewa Lake, especially in that time of the year, it's busy in the summer because of tourism and the lake and all the stuff to do. But in the fall, it's dead there, which is kind of cool because it's got that creepy vibe, like you're driving out to the middle of nowhere, and it feels like you're going out to Chainsaw Massacre.
It was great. Like we had and I love the queue lines outside the like the cattle. How it looked like you were just going through this cattle maze of it was badass.
Yeah, the first year he had a bunch of wood slats, and it was kind of like, it looked like makeshift, like corralled like that, like the cattle gate. And then he had a queue line built a certain size because he only did a low amount of people at first. He didn't really know this is what happens when 1,000 people show up,
right?
So it was like after the second year I was with him, he's like I'm expanding the queue line, literally tripled it in size, and that was his idea, to throw down and get all that, because it's all real like cattle gate stuff. Because I'm like, we can make it out of PVC and do this other crap. And he's like, nope, got to be the real shit.
Yeah. He's
like, people are going to be standing on it, it's gotta last.
Yeah.
So if a cow can not break it, hopefully these idiot customers won't break it, because you know how that goes.
Of course, yeah.
I obviously can sit on this, and then, busted. But
when we were there, we didn't climb on anything.
Yeah, you should have. But what was I getting at? Oh, you said it was like, and you said it was long too. And with me, every year that him and I are like, we got to make it longer. Like we want to hit that 40-minute, 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
Depending on it changes. People walk slow, people walk fast.
Right.
Whatever, but normal. If you're gonna pay, X amount of dollars for a show, it can't be 15 minutes.
Right.
Like there's haunts I've been to where I'm like, I pay $25, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's gonna be great, and like all into it, not going there to hate on it, but you think it's gonna be cool, and then it sucks.
You're out
like,
quick. Yeah.
Like that was it. Like what did I pay for? It was like,
it
was like $4 a minute. Like
like right. It's got to be worth it for sure. So let's rewind a little bit, because you brought up the Fear experience, which I hate to say I never got a chance to go to, but heard nothing but great stuff about. So you were in on that. What happened there? Was it a law? You like lost the building, like the lease or whatever?
Well, it wasn't. Again, I just want to make sure it's clear. I'm not taking like credit for stuff, but that was Nick Francis and Max Simon. That was their thing.
Right.
They approached me.
You were involved, though.
Yeah, they approached me to guest act once, just because they wanted to say, Stitcher Mushroom had acted at a haunted house when they were first starting out, and they were kids out in North Homestead. So, yeah, of course I went out there and guest acted. A couple of my friends took Little Dan and a couple other people from my band and went out there and just tore it up. Did what we do. Showed up with our own shit and just made all of his actors kind of like, what the hell is this guy doing? I'm crawling around barefooted, wrapped up all in gauze and shit, climbing up customers, like getting in people's cars, like doing all the cool, crazy stuff you used to be able to get away with years ago.
Yeah.
And then it was like 6-8 months later, Nick called me and was like, hey, we got a new building that's closer to you. And he's like, were you serious about like helping out? And because I told him, I'm like, you know, I could see you guys have like a lot of heart, you know, but the sets kind of look like crap. You know, they were young and starting out and did what they did, but I could see that they had that proper desire of like, we want to have some cool stuff. So I'm like, hit me up, I can help. So then I started helping and was with them for 4 years over there. Yeah. And then it was a leased building. So once the property or the building sells, you know what I mean? It's then it's whoever's leasing the building gets told to you make an offer or take a hike. And and obviously they weren't going to buy a, you know, multi-million-dollar thing because that real estate, and then U-Haul bought it because they have the coin to do that.
Yeah, that's just horrible though, man. When that.
But yeah, it sucks. They, you know, all that work was put in, and it was advancing so quickly because they just constantly threw down on, okay, got to make it better, got to make it better. The one year they freaking put in over $200,000 just 1 year on just upgrades, and then just to have customers come through and say it wasn't any different. Yeah, yeah. Like, did you miss the fact that like it was 20 minutes longer and there was like actual like cool sets? No, it wasn't. It kind of sucked. Yeah, you know. Yeah, but,
I had a guy last year. Not last year. It was the year before. Anyways, he had we did our video, which you were involved in, and he was like, I didn't see anybody in any characters from your video in your haunt. I was like, really? Because the prison guard's out there, and
I was gonna say
the warden's widow's out there, and that guy that was in the he's down in this. I'm like, they're all, and they were all there representing that night, you know. And I was just like, that's funny because they're all here. You know,
people always want to bitch about something. It's never gonna.
Most people like you know, most people come through and have a great time, and those are the ones, you know. But it's just there's people always that come through that want to. They come just to say I never got scared, and it's just like I walked through a haunt, you know, and there's haunts I never got scared at, but it was like I still had fun. Yeah. You go in kind of open minded about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, none of us as adults or haunt people go to be scared. Yeah, we go to see. I want to see how good the show looks. I want to see how the queue line is. I want to see how other people. I get a kick out of seeing customers of people I don't even know get scared. Yeah, like so they're laughing and shit. You know. You know, none of us get scared. Sometimes a jump scare or something will get you, and then I usually turn to that person. I'm like, hey, nice, because I don't. You know, you get desensitized to it when you spend all this time in creepy buildings.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just go for the passion and the love of it. And like, and if you can't just enjoy it, then you just suck as a human. Right. Why are you so miserable? It's exactly. It's a freaking haunted house. It's like, oh, it's not real. Of course it's not real. No, there's real zombies running around. Like, shut the fuck up.
So the one guy I had out front, Brian, had his, he had you know, the collector, we call him the collector thing. He had that, and he was up on his stilts. He was walking around. He didn't do it every day last year because, you know, he's doing other stuff. But he was out there, and I was talking to him when he'd come back in. I said, how'd it go? He's like, oh, pretty good. He's like, I had these two guests come up, and they walked right up to me. And he has this voice box that he does with it, too, and he'll just say all this crazy stuff. And he was just like, hey, man, we know you're just some guy on stilts in there, you know, blah, blah. And Brian's, Brian. So he kind of stops, and he's just like, I know that you know that I'm just a guy in here, and everybody else in here knows that, you know, I'm just a guy in this costume, but you guys are the only ones being a douchebag about it. Right, yeah. And then he ended up, you know, like they were just kind of laughing, and, you know, they were like, oh, sorry, man. You know, they were cool about it and everything. But he's like, just let people have fun. Don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like, you're being the asshole for trying to point out, oh, this is fake. Yeah, everybody knows it's fake. Yeah. You know what I mean? So why do people watch pro wrestling?
Yeah, it's not a David Copperfield magic show where you're trying to like figure out where the string is. Right.
Yeah. Shit, dude. So it sucked hearing about Fear Experience, you know, because there was all the talk about, oh, it's going to come back. Or it's going to take a year off. It's going to come back. And then obviously it never did. And Nick, I believe, is in Columbus now doing the Fear Columbus thing. And you're at Chippewa Lake, and that's going great and everything. So you're talking about with Chippewa, we were up there last year, and it was, you know, like I said, a lot. It took forever to get through. It felt like, anyways. And you're adding more this year without giving, you know, too much away. Yeah. So you're looking at it's going to be a longer experience.
Yeah, longer show. More scenes were put in. We expanded the outside more because what Vaughn and I had numerous conversations before, and what we kept figuring out is like, okay, you know, the building itself is 40,000 square feet. We can only get so much in here without putting modular walls and things that he didn't want to do because he didn't want to change the integrity of the building, wanted to keep it as is, which I totally respect. But with a lot of those huge rooms, which, you know, and anyone that builds haunts knows, it's like people cook through them real quick.
Yep.
So until you put up walls and mazes, you know, that's what's going to keep people in there. So instead of ruining the integrity of there, we expanded to a couple rooms that weren't being used yet, but we mostly focused on the outside. Because what was kind of happening is that we had a cool story happening on the inside with what was actually, you know, going on with the place. But then you went outside and it kind of fizzled out. You know, like it was cool. Actors are good and doing their job, but it's kind of like just people are in the woods. Yeah. So we're doing a lot more with tying in more character story out there and doing a lot more scenes and sets, not just you're walking on a trail. So there's actually going to be more, you know, some like, what do you call it? Like some prequel to why the family is the way they are, you know, and stuff, and what else is going on. So it's not just supposed to random, because it was a little random out there, but a lot of times being spent, expanding that, because the outside's probably 3 times as long than it was last year. Yeah. I walked it the other day just because we're still in the middle of building a bunch of stuff, but I kind of walked the path and I'm like, this is really long. I didn't think it was going to be that long. So it's dramatically expanded. Right.
So then you're going to have to span probably your actor crew and hire more people.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. You got to hire more people. Well, because it's nice when you get the nice knit of like, crap, we got a solid 35 to 40 actors. But once you try getting to that 50, 60 actor mark, then you deal with like all the call-offs and all the tummy aches and all the kid drama. And I'm not dating this girl anymore, so I'm not working here, like type crap. And it's nice because we have a lot of adult actors, a lot of like people that work there. A lot of them don't even have haunted house background, don't even know what horror movies are. They're just a lot of Vaughn's friends and my friends that are dedicated and have fun doing it. Right. Because sometimes you get those people that are like, I'm a haunter for life, blah, blah, blah. And they're the first people to fall out or like have a problem, or like you see them sitting on break 20 minutes later and I thought you were Mr. Badass. What the hell are you doing?
We're here.
The dude that like is a gardener is like running circles around you in the woods, you know, right now, not even taking breaks. And he didn't ever even seen a horror movie in his life. So, so get out of my face with this shit. Yeah. So we do have to, do more actors. And it's a little tough too when you're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Because most of our actors are coming from like Cleveland and shit, so they're like 45-minute drive to come out. To make $50 a night. So it's a lot of people that have the passion for it.
That's hard to find, man. That is like, because like you said, a lot of people say they have it and they want to do it. I watched, The Exorcist and Halloween as a kid, and I love it.
Oh, I love Halloween. Oh, cool. Come up and act at a haunt. Hour in. I can't do this.
Yeah, yeah. And they realize it's not just jumping out of a wall, or it's especially when like you say, as you expand and get bigger, and then your lines get bigger, and you're here later, and it's just like Jesus, and they're ready to go, But your hardcores. It's funny that you said that, because like I had a guy here. A couple years ago, he was like a security guard, I don't want to say a mall security guard, but same way. He wasn't really big. He just kind of saw the ad for like, hey, come and scare people. I'd like to try that. And he did great. I never had an issue with him. But then there's, the ones that are just like full bore. For the most part, I mean, we're pretty lucky here. But like you said, there's always the ones that jump on and want to just.
Yeah. Like the one, we gained an actor last year, and it was literally just on. I called to have the outside spray, because there was like a crack in the outside front foundation, like yellow jackets had gotten in there and shit. So like, you don't really normally care. You're in the woods, it happens. But every time I was going out there to like cut wood or do something, freaking yellow jackets are everywhere. So I eventually just called to have it sprayed. Kid comes out, not kid. I used to call anyone kid that's obviously younger than me, but he's like, this property's pretty weird. I didn't know this was here. And he's like, what's it like to working in a haunted house? And I'm like, it's fun, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I never really thought about it. He's like, you guys hire? I'm like, yeah, sure. Come on by. And he like never worked in one. And he was just like a kid in a candy store this year. Yeah. Loved it. Texted me. He would after the first night, he's like, dude, thanks so much for hiring me, like sending me texts like that. Normally it's, like people say, I can't come in tomorrow.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, I love it. Can't wait to do it again. And it was like, here's your costume. Here's your mask. This is what you do. Mm-hmm. He did it. Didn't bitch, didn't cry, nothing. But meanwhile, we got the veteran out there that's like on his 5th break.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always annoying for sure. But, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be in a haunted house or start a haunted house or you just want to act in it, like what would you recommend? Because obviously it's not just, an easy job. You know what I mean? So if you're going to tell a guy that wants to be an actor, what are you going to tell him?
Crap. Put me on the spot with that one.
Yeah. Well, you've done it for so long.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Damn. I totally ruined the flow of this conversation by
that's all right. But
being stumped because, I don't want to be like the typical, answers like, give it your all and roll and I don't know. I try to tell people like, all I ever tell them is don't break the damn room and don't overdo it, because you're not going to last 5 hours if you just go balls to the wall like all night. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really have, any advice for people that like want to get into, acting.
What was the first haunt you ever acted at?
Bloodview.
Bloodview.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 14 and that's where I, even before he worked for Mushroomhead, where I met Great House and tons of other people. Seen Rogers, met a lot of those people through those connections.
Yeah.
Before and then 10, 15 years later, wind up working with those people.
Right.
But yeah, Bloodview. I remember my mom dropped me off. Had to sign like a waiver because I was 14 to work there or something like that. But
so we're talking what, mid 90s, early 90s?
It would have been 94.
94.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah. But it was cool because it was a community of people that, were very supportive, I guess, of people like, being creative. Mm-hmm. They had like a no mask policy. So they kind of like forced you to go, well, I got to do makeup. I got to learn makeup. So when I first went there, it was like, I don't know how to do shit.
Yeah.
So, whoever the makeup person was at the time, I have no idea, but one of the Legion of Terror people. The white face, blood splatter. Here's your cloak. Get in the room.
Yeah.
Yell boo all night. So, but it was really cool, man. I instantly fell in love with it. I instantly understood like, how to, scare people, what to do, and just the thrill you get from it.
Sure.
So that was addictive, and then I was into it ever since. Worked at Bloodview for years, and then me and a bunch of my friends eventually got to the age where you're like, okay, this place is great, it's awesome, but like getting older and be cool to make some money doing this. Mm-hmm. So then we started working for a place called Carnival of Horrors.
Yes.
And that was when they were out in Medina. Mm-hmm. And then that switched, and then he went over to, what was it? Was it Wildwood Water Park? I can't remember what the frickin'... It was an old water park. Mm-hmm. I think it was Wildwood Water Park. Moved into there and didn't even wind up getting open because the whole place, some kid broke in and with torches or some shit and like burned the whole damn frickin' thing down.
Jesus.
So that was terrible because he put a bunch of time in. Ryan was the owner's name. And me and all my friends put all of our time in working. And the whole thing burned down. And then eventually he wound up at Blossom. Now he's at Blossom Music Center doing great out there because that's a great spot to land, because again, the foot traffic you're going to get out there. I mean, he, still does crazy numbers. He still has the same haunt from like 10 years ago, but he does good numbers.
Yeah, that's not one I've been to. So then you went there. Now, how does, not to get off the subject of, Halloween or anything, but like, so you brought up your Stitch from Mushroomhead. We all know that. How did that come to be? Like, how does that interfere being in, so you're in Mushroomhead, you're in Ventana, right? Mm-hmm. How do you balance that life with working at haunted attractions? Because Mushroomhead, legendary Halloween shows,
That's been why I had to, because it's not until the recent years that I'm back full force in this stuff. there's been a huge gap of years where like I didn't do any haunted house acting. Didn't do,
Right.
you know, it wasn't until I linked up with, I said, Nick and Max at Fear Experience that got thrown into the set world and doing, oh crap, I can actually do this for a living. But yeah, and then every fall would come, I'd do all this work all year round, and then fall would come and it's like, oh, we got to go on tour.
Yeah.
So, you know, finding out how kick-ass everything's going through text messages, and it's like you're not there, and it's like it just starts eating you away.
Yeah.
So balancing it sucks. But the last year and a half has been a blessing in disguise, if you want to put it, because all this time down with the COVID, you know, stuff and the band's not touring, I've been able to go, oh, well, I can't tour, I can't do this. But the haunted houses were still able to happen. So I was able to go all in last year and do a full dedication, full everything, helping, you know, Vaughn with Slaughterhouse. And now that that's happening, now I'm like, crap, I'm going to miss this when, like, you know, touring becomes a thing again. But there's no touring for quite a while still. So I was able to give it the full year last year. I'm able to be there for the full year this year. And the owner and I have some plans on a possible second location.
Oh, sweet.
Not like a second Slaughterhouse location, but opening up another location, you know, somewhere.
Another haunt, completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some positive things in the works, nothing, you know, worth, you know, talking about yet. But yeah, that's kind of the goal, is then to start, you know, branching out there.
Right.
To where nothing against Mushroomhead or anything that I do, but I kind of see my involvement with this as being a potential future where if say Mushroomhead's not touring in another 5 to 10 years, like I'm still need to do something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next is like, do you see this as, I'm probably going to leave the, you know, music stuff on the back burner now and then
No, I would never leave like the music end of it, but just having something else to sustain it. Because, you know, not being 20 years old, just it gets a little rough when you're in your, you know, and now I'm 41 with, you know, bills, and I want to buy a house, and, you know, I want to do all these things. Like I can't do it just making, you know, a band wage. You know, you got to have something else.
Oh, come on.
Most people in bands do other things unless you're a huge band, which, I mean, people have their perspective that Mushroomhead is, you know, a huge band because, it's known, but people don't understand that it costs a ton of money just to be a band. I mean, look how much it costs to, like, you know, update some lights in the haunt and buy some extension cords. Like, next thing you know, you're, you know, it's, you know, tons of money. So imagine, you know, a band and having a rehearsal studio and a, you know, recording studio and all the gear and the expense of leasing a bus and all that crap.
Yeah, there's a lot of members in that band.
Yeah, a lot of mouse to feed, a lot of crew to feed, a lot of taxes, a lot of, you know, venues that don't pay you because the owner, you know, split town the night before and took the money, and you didn't find out until you got to the show, and it's like, well, we're not gonna. It's a constant nightmare.
That's crazy.
But you know, you make X amount of dollars, but then there's all these expenses. So you know, like, you know, you get it, but by that time at the end of the day, and it's like, okay, well, I do this because I love it. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of what it all comes down to. And it's paid, you know, the bills okay for years, but you gotta, you know, something else.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, I mean, you know, all the stuff moves on, comes to an end, and, you know, always good to have a backup. So, staying on that topic, got a new album out with your other band, Ventana, The Nature of Betrayal. Yeah. Listen to it. It's great. Love it.
Thank
You guys got a show coming up?
Yeah, this Saturday, which by the time this airs, I don't know if it'll probably be in the past, or
it could be. I don't know. We'll see.
Not sure when this airs, but yeah, Saturday, July 3rd. And
are you going to do other shows? You going to do any more, or is this just a one-off type of deal?
We booked the show when it was still COVID restrictions. So I got the room for really cheap rental. So we rented the room out and said, hey, we're going to do a show. We're going to do a couple hundred people, whatever. Sell the tickets ourselves through online. Literally 2 days later, DeWine lifted the indoor gathering ban and all the other shit. So it was like, oh, you can do whatever you want now.
Pack the house.
So it's going to be cool. It's going to be the first show I've done, obviously under the non-weirdness of, the COVID, restrictions. We did a show in November with Ventana, and they had tables and chairs everywhere, and people had it was freaking annoying when you're a heavy metal band and you're like trying to be aggressive and cool, and you got to rely on the crowd going nuts, and they're all 6 feet apart and sitting at tables and chairs, and like it's just weird. It doesn't the dinner movie vibe doesn't work with heavy metal. If we were doing Sublime acoustic covers, it would be one thing, but that was weird. So I'm excited to have an actual full blown rock and roll show again, in Cleveland, and at a venue that I've been going to for years. I've never headlined there with Ventana, but I've headlined there numerous times with Mushroomhead. So it's kind of a milestone, like mini victory for us as Ventana to finally get to that level where it's been 17 years of doing that band. And, finally getting to the point where we have a solid fan base. They come out all the time. That we're going to do, X amount of time. We don't have to like try to get people to come to the show. Like we're starting to finally get to that point.
Sure.
All this time later. By the time you're close to retiring, you finally figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm just getting ready to wrap this up, and you're hitting your stride. But,
but no other shows for the rest of the year, because as soon as this show's over, Vaughn been talking forever. I'm like, dude, trust me. I'm like starting July 4th, I'll be there every day, because haven't been down there that much because of all the show stuff I have going on, and plus I'm also in the band Crossbreed that's playing.
Right.
And we just put that band back together, and I've had a heavy hand in coordinating that band to get back together, and me and Dan, my drummer, have been, picked 2 brand new guitar and bass members, and had to rebuild the whole stage show, get all the costumes back together, because like none of it exists because the band stopped doing it 10 years ago. Yeah. So that's been fun, because it's a lot easier to rekindle something than start something new. Right. But there'll be nothing for the rest of the year. It's full blown haunted house for the rest of the year.
That's great. And I'm, touching on the COVID stuff, it's just, it's great to have that pretty much in the rearview mirror, I think. Right. Moving on and kind of getting back to that, whether it's haunt or, doing your shows or whatever, because it's like I was taught, like some friends of mine, we would talk, and, they would talk about all the, the COVID, and, we're in this together. And it's just like, bullshit, man. It's like Walmart's still open, and but I can't. I'm worried about even opening, because I rely on, same as you, a mass gathering of people to make the show work. Yeah. It doesn't work if you don't have a ton of people.
It's not worth opening if you can't.
It isn't.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys were able to get through last year, but we were freaked as soon as it was like, I remember like watching the news like when it was kind of like breaking. Because I remember hearing about it in January, and it kind of got like, there's something, and it'll be fine. And then it became more serious, and then by like February, it was like, oh shit. And then by March, it was like, oh, we're shut down. What? Yeah. Like, and then right away, like, I wasn't like, oh my God, we're all going to die of a virus. Right away, I was like, fuck, the haunted house isn't going to fucking open. Like, fuck. Like,
that's what I was saying.
Fucking doing all this work, and Vaughn spent all this money, and like, no. Yeah. I lost, right before me watched The Haunt and The Music, which has been my life for my entire fucking life. Yeah. My only income is from those things. Just gone. Figured out. That's rough. So thank God they passed all that stuff for self-employment, unemployment, because I would have been flipping burgers at Burger King or something. Nothing against people that work at Burger King.
Here we go.
However, not something you want to go start over at age 41.
Exactly. You know? Exactly.
So that was scary.
Yeah.
So what I wound up doing was as soon as Universal opened with the half capacity masks, all that, it was like in June they opened. Mm-hmm. Right away, me and my girlfriend, we booked a trip down there. And I told Vaughn, I'm like, I'm going to go down there and see how the #1 park in America is, next to Disney, is doing it. Because they even opened before Disney. They were open months before Disney, because Universal's got balls. So they were like, we're open and screw it. Yeah. And it was probably the best experience I've ever had at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Because it was like, everything was like spanking clean, and it was half the people. And even at half the people, there was even less than that, because there was people still paranoid on going out. No one was planning family vacations to Florida in June of 2020. So it was almost like you had the whole park to yourself. And I learned just a ton. It's like how the procedures were, the sanitizer at every station, like how they implemented everything and their little PSA videos and all that shit. And I literally went back and was like, Vaughn, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. We're going to make a funny PSA video. We're going to have hand sanitizer. We're going to do all this stuff. We're going to go above and beyond, because all these other haunts were already admitting defeat. Like, we're not opening. We can't open. We can't. I'm like, yes, you can. Yeah. Just got to do some shit. You got to care. Which throughout all of it was a big, history lesson, but a good learning experience on like, wow, we really keep these haunts gross. Yeah. We probably should clean them a lot more than we do, but you never think like, I'm going to go mop and dust the haunted house because you want it to look dirty and dusty.
Exactly.
It's not supposed to look like a Best Buy. It's supposed to look like a dirty haunted house. So you want the grunge, but now you're like, shit, now we got to clean, but it was the first year that not one actor got sick. Yeah. I didn't have one actor for the first year ever call off sick, nothing.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
But, it might have been because there was less dust getting kicked up. And there was, all the, fear flaps and everything that gets touched. We sanitized every night, sometimes, twice a day, because we were super paranoid about the city coming in and shutting it down. So we were above and beyond.
So was I.
We put like 30 of the... Even throughout the haunt, we made them look like part of the sets, but there was hand sanitizer stations like everywhere, like recovered. We hired less actors, and that was actually a way that we were able to get rid of shitty actors, because we were like, well, we're COVID restrictions. We can't hire more than...
You're letting the cat out of the bag now.
Sorry. I guess fuck them. But...
that's why I couldn't go back.
Yeah. Those people know anyway. Whatever. So yeah, there was some cool things. I don't mean to say cool things about COVID, but the learning experience throughout it was able to go, oh, yeah, we probably should continue to just clean regularly and actually sanitize. Right. Because it's just better. I mean, you don't really think about it. You're like, oh, wow, so many thousand people come through a night touching this. Yeah. Or like those freaking airbags that I hate when people have the airbags. Yeah. You don't have the airbags here, do you?
A couple of them.
All right. Well, no offense.
I have clowns too.
No offense, but...
Right before you go into the clown area, I've got an airbag.
Anytime I go to a haunt, of course you do. Anytime I go to a haunt and I see the airbag, I go, God damn it. Yeah. Because I just know. I know all the greasy, sweaty, scum people that just push through it. It's like, so I always turn around and go backwards.
Yeah. That's what most people do. And I always tell them, it's like, I'm a big guy, but I'm pretty nimble. I can walk on my hands, and I always take my pants off and walk through these things on my hands. And they're just like... Oh my God. You know what I mean? Just to add a little layer of grossness to those things. Because they are, and we didn't use them last year. We took them out completely. Obvious reasons. We didn't do the touch pass that we did last year. Right. Obvious reasons. But it was rough, man. And I'm glad it's over. But I will say, when we came up to your haunt, the nice thing about it was, and again, like you said, I'm not saying there was nothing nice about COVID. I don't get rid of it.
I keep choosing my words, but
yeah, but it was nice because like when we went through, like we basically felt like the haunt was ours, right? Because there was we didn't run into we always run into the group in front of us because we don't like walk through slow like, oh, we're scared, right? We walk through like, same as you, just normal, like, oh, looking at stuff, yeah. This guy did great. Oh man, that thing that came down, I was like, whoa. I mean, that one actually got me. And I was just like, oh yeah, it was awesome. And we didn't hit the group in front of us, and the group behind us didn't hit us. Yeah. So that was actually kind of nice with the timing and everything. And it lets you kind of take everything in a little bit better and enjoy the haunt itself. You know what I'm saying? So that was nice.
And there's plus sides and downsides of that. It's like, the spaced out groups, we liked a lot more there because we were able to put on a more theatrical horror show. Yeah. We were able to have actors double up because we knew 2 minutes between each group. Yeah. So that like, okay, actors, these certain actors have 2-3 scare points, or this character comes back and does this. So you're able to like execute it a lot better. Because sometimes when you got the conga lines, if you're not a haunt that's got a lot of turns and hallways, you can get away with that. But with the big open area like we have, it just turns into 5 groups saw the scare, you know?
Right.
So it definitely had its perks to be a more scary show.
Sure.
And plus it does take you out of the element when you see another group in front of you, or there's a group, you know, behind you catching up. You're just like, well, now I feel like I'm in just a haunted house.
Yeah.
You know, but, but you know, but at the same time, you can't make money by doing that too much, you know, so there's a balance, you know,
find it. Yeah.
which, another reason, you know, why we're, you know, potentially looking at another location is to kind of keep that integrity of Slaughterhouse, where we almost want to keep it as being that reservation only, private. It's a private party, and there's only X amount of tickets that are going to be available a night. And
Still going to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just because there was a lot of, like I said, pluses for that. Because like I said, because we're out in the middle of nowhere, we know we're not going to be the haunt that's going to have 20, 30,000 people waiting in line. It's just, it doesn't make, the math isn't there with the amount of people that are in that location. The haunts that do that are in heavily populated areas, or a place like this that you're in a national landmark.
Right.
You know, you get a huge advantage with this building. You know,
Sure.
the show's great, you know, which is awesome that finally the show's good here. It's taken years for it to be, you know, where it's at.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt where your location is.
No, the venue
You're
is definitely you know.
And even me as a haunt, you know, person, it's like, if I'm going to go to one haunt, I'm going to go to the goddamn prison. Like, you know, of course you're going to go to the prison. Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at that damn thing.
That's cool. Yeah, the building itself.
So,
but your building's, you know, a real slaughterhouse.
Right.
You
and
know,
it sells it. Yeah. But yeah, we're talking about keeping it, you know, only X amount of tickets are available a night. And maybe we just open up more nights, put on a better show, hire less actors, just I don't know. There was a lot of pluses to it.
Will you? I can't remember, what were you running last year? Because you weren't doing a lot, but then you upped it as the year went on, didn't you?
As far as
like the number of tickets you're selling per night.
No, we kept it roughly the same. We kept it lower early because, you know, the numbers are usually lower early in the season anyway, and we let. You know, it was less in the beginning and then more where, you know, the busier things. But we always kept under the number we were allowed to be, you know, open for.
Are you going to up that
Which they said,
year?
like, I think it was like 60% or 40%. I can't remember what it was. But,
yeah,
we're going to up the number that people that can go through because we don't have to be restricted. But we're still going to kind of go, hey, this can sell out. You have to have your time.
Right.
Because we wound up with better reviews. This year, it was like almost all 4 or 5 star reviews. Like there was no one bitching about waited 4 hours, waited 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was literally people showed up and they're in within like 20, 30 minutes.
right.
And that's huge if people are trying to make like plans or, you know, go out to the bar afterwards or go catch a movie. They don't have to spend their whole night just waiting in line for a haunt. Because the longer they're waiting in line, the more their expectations are going to go through the, you know, they're going to expect it to be the best thing ever, and if it's not, they're going to be pissed because they waited 3 hours for a 20-minute show, a bunch of, you know, kids yelling boo.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
You know, but then Vaughn was laughing too because he's like, I just built this queue line to hold like 1,000 people, and we didn't even have the thing half full last year.
I remember.
It was just funny because, what are you going to do?
Hey,
but,
you got to roll with it, man.
But almost treat it like, you know, that haunt, like, you know, where it's like, you know, the dinner mystery movie things where it's an actual experience and it's not the typical thing. And
and that'll in itself make it, you know, it already is unique.
Yeah.
But that'll add to that.
And if we know we're only going to do X amount of people a year, and if we can do that number every year and be like, no, this place sells out, you know, I think there's some value to that.
Sure.
And a lot of thing that Vaughn wanted to do. And at first I was like, no, I want to cram this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, let's get everyone in here. Let's blow the marketing out. And he's like, but then he talked me off that bridge and was like, well, it makes more sense because it was a better executed show.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, being able to have a more consolidated cast that you could spend the time on and cut the fat and not have to worry about the shitty actors.
Right. And it's, you know, the last time I can honestly say the last time I went to a haunt where I didn't catch up to the group in front of me or, you know, have the group behind me catch up was, well, it was mostly because it wasn't really that great of a haunt. I mean, there just wasn't nobody there. But, you know, so we didn't get the experience we wanted. This is years and years ago. But with yours, it was awesome because it was just like we got to enjoy it, you know. So that's the kind of the cool thing about it. But I'm, you know, the whole COVID thing being over because you know here. You know, you're gonna wait in line, man. It's, it's just the way it is. It has to be that way. My overhead is just crazy, and you know, it's just like we rely on that amount of people, but which sucks because you don't want to group people. Like I have to group people on the big nights, like 20 at a time, and you know, we'll get bad reviews because of that, or because I waited 3 hours, and I'm like, sorry, man. It's just like I can't control the amount of people that come, so. You know, just keep that in mind as, you know, if you're a guest coming that, you know, the speed pass is worth it. Yeah. You know.
I mean, anytime I go to Universal Horror Nights, I mean, I don't mess around. I throw down for the RIP tour and
Same here.
I don't even buy the Fast Pass because the Fast Pass is almost a waste of money. It's like just spend the extra $150, $200 and you get treated like a rock star. You get the cut in front of the Fast Pass.
Right.
There's no way you could see everything. But then I see people waiting in line for like the Saw House and like the TV says 375 minutes is the waiting time for the Saw House. And I'm just going, that's like the whole night.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No way.
So, but there's people standing in that line, like, and they're going to see two houses and they paid $100. It's like, and then they're going to, say it sucks, but it's Universal. It doesn't matter. They're still going to do, you know, millions upon millions of dollars. But, but you want to talk about conga line that they don't even like break groups up there. It's like, it's like it's like you're going in a museum.
They did the same thing here years ago because I have some of the actors from, you know, years ago that still work. And he was just like, they would get to the point, they're like, all right, just open the doors, let them come in.
Right.
And it would just be this giant line. And the actors told us about, we were here until 4 o'clock in the morning one night, you know, and it was just a constant stream of people. And, you know, it's just like, how did you guys even survive that? That must have been just horrible, you know, trying to, he's just like, you just did what you could do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everyone's just walking through like, this is bullshit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I told, when I first started here and, you know, took things over, I was like, if that's a part of the deal, then I'm not doing it.
No one wants that.
I don't want it. I'm not going to, you know.
Sign your own death warrant on your product.
It's like, you know, so you do better marketing and, you know, you try and do the best you can. It's tricky, but, you know, I think we're pulling it off pretty good. And then you got to, you know, get a good team under your belt and everything. But
yeah, the team here, I mean, it's great. I mean, compare over the years, because I mean, there was a huge chunk of years where this place was like kind of a, like, excuse my language, but it was kind of a joke of a haunt, you know, years and years back. I'm not talking about anyone that's, you know, working on it now, but it was like almost embarrassing because it's like, look at this freaking building. Look gorgeous this building and look creepy this building is. But then look at the haunt. And it's like, looks like Spirit Halloween came in here and like threw up everywhere. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, so at least, you know, the team you got now and everything's, it's been way beyond the right path. And all the new upgrades I've been seeing look sick. And I'm sure the show is going to rock this year.
Oh man, I hope so. I hope we don't have, you know, there's always that thing in the, I don't know about you, but in the back of my mind, there's just that, you know, just like they were saying, well, you know, in the winter it's going to spike and everything is going to close. And that's just in the back of my head. I just see that happening and I'm just like, dude, I will lose my shit because not only, I mean, I have had something every year here. You got to understand, like, then this process of building this thing, it's been just one thing after another, which really sucks because it feels like you got, you know, people working against you when all you're doing, it's like, I'm not trying to not be safe or I'm not trying to, you know, put people's lives in danger. We're just here to have fun. And there's a business side to it, of course, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's all it is. We're having fun. The people are having fun. From the guests to the actors to the crew, you know. So that's what it's about, is just having that fun and bringing in, you know, local revenue because people will come. I mean, we get people from everywhere to come in here and you know, check out the haunt from, you know, Pittsburgh and Detroit and you know, Cleveland, obviously Columbus. But, you know, that's kind of what it is. But there's always that something that's trying to hold you back. So I'm ready to go. Everything in our first, I don't know what happened because you guys had the shorter lines, but, and I'm not trying to get political on this, but it was just like, there was some other friends of mine. I know my buddies in North Carolina own a haunt down there. They had the same things happen. Like our first weekend here was like, it was madhouse. I mean, there was people coming in and just forcing their way into what they thought that they were entitled to as far as like just cutting in line, and they didn't care. you know, and it was a very surreal situation, and it seemed like it was all over. And I'm talking the bad eggs of, you know, you can talk about, you know, the rioting that happened after everything with the Minnesota thing and the, you know, that's, you know, kind of what I'm getting at. But it was just like
the domino effect of people acting like that, I guess, is like stupid is, stupid does.
Kind of, yeah. And it was just like, so I talked to some other people and they're like, that happened to us. I'm like, I mean, it was almost the exact same stuff. It was just crazy. And I'm like, I am so ready.
I think with us just being out in the country like we are, I think, you know, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think we get, I don't know, because we had no issues. It was like, it was the first year we didn't have, you know, have to have, you know, police on duty every time, because we usually do. I mean, the police still show up and hang out because it's such a quiet, you know, town. There's nothing to do. One guy came out and it was like, I'm like, oh, I didn't think we hired, you know, police this year. He's like, I came out to hang out.
Yeah, right.
He's like, this place is great. You know?
Yeah. No, we have to every year.
We had. Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, the cat fights that go on out in the parking lot here.
And, you know, it's not as bad as you'd think, but last year it just like some of the veteran police officers and the Mansfield police officers that I know that come out and work the event they're great. They're top quality people. But they said, man, it hasn't been like this in a while, you know, where there was just that many issues outside, you know, fighting breaking out and, you know, things of that nature. Usually that doesn't happen until we call them, I know you're from there, so don't take offense, but we call them the Cleveland days. Yeah. When the people from Cleveland come down, you know, and they come down, they're just like, they just run, you know, and they're just ready to go, and they're just, let's go, let's do it, you know, give me a touch pass, you know, and they get it, and then we have issues, and maybe a little drinking involved, you know.
Give me the touch pass, and they're the first person to punch an actor.
Exactly. They're like,
God touched me. You're wearing a touch pass.
Yeah. Or they think it's their oh, I get to touch. All right.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, and it's just like, no, man, it ain't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year it was bad with that, and I was ready. We got it situated. I mean, we made sure everything was good and everybody was good, and we were able to work through it. But I had to pull my outside queue line actors. I'm like, everybody in, because I didn't want them getting hurt, because like a police officer had gotten hurt, you know, and it just got crazy, you know, with everything. But luckily it calmed down, and I think it is going to calm down this year, and it'll be more of a normal Halloween season. We'll see.
Yeah, either that or everyone's going to act even crazier because now, woo!
Yep.
We don't
Cuffs are off.
Woo! Yep. Spring break. You know, like it's everyone's, because it's funny because even out in public, I'm like, can we bring the social distancing and masks back? Because man, and not that I'm a fan of that, but I'm saying jokingly because some of the way these people are now, it's like they're just freaking Wild West now all of a sudden. Like none of the last year and a half mattered. People just doing whatever the fuck they want. Like,
that was kind of weird.
Like I went to see a buddy of mine that do Hell's a Poppin'. Yeah, that were down here 2 years ago for you guys. They were great at people. The Winchester in Lakewood.
I know. I wanted
2 weeks
to go
ago.
Up. Yeah,
it was great. But it was crazy because the Winchester. I mean, it's the size of this room.
Yeah,
and it was sold out. Whatever that, you know, but it was to capacity, and that place sold out is not fun. No. The show was fantastic. It's crazy to see how much more advanced they get every time I see them. Because you think like, oh, I've seen, like, we took them on tour, like, you know, twice already. We've like, what much more can you see? But it was like a whole new show. They had new people. They were doing crazier shit. They had more production. Like, those dudes are phenomenal. Bryce is genius for Bryce and Shorty for putting all that together. But I went there and I was leaving laughing. And no one ever catches my humor in public, which is, you know, disappointing. But like, you know, you're trying to like walk through the crowd and it's right back to people not giving a fuck. No one gets out of your way. And I'm just like, I can't even, for the last year and a half, there was no one around you. Now it's like, I'm back to, I just wanted to go take a piss. Like, and I'm just like laughing to myself, standing there like an idiot. I'm like, back to this. Like, I didn't miss this shit. Like, just people like just not caring and like rubbing. It's like, just like that quickly we went back to this, huh? Like,
sweating and just like, hey man, you know what I get? I get this. People always come up, start rubbing my head. I'm just like, I'm just like, thanks.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, just like, oh really? Okay, let me touch something bald on you. What are you talking about?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, man. Yeah, it's funny how that's coming back, but I mean, I wouldn't give anything to I can't wear those stupid masks. I've never been one to, you know, I don't know. The whole thing, like if you want my opinion, the whole thing was it didn't scare me at all. Like everyone was just like, you know, this is horrible. And it was horrible. It was a horrible situation we went through. But it was just like, I'm not scared of a virus. Right. You know, if someone asked me to wear a mask, I'd put it on. If I was going into a store, can you put a mask? Yeah, sure. I put it on. No big deal. I'm not gonna be one of these guys that's gonna die on that hill of wearing a mask or not. But it's just like, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just like, I was never like, if someone walked up to me that wasn't wearing a mask, I wasn't all like, oh God, get away.
Yeah, I never played. For the first few months, I was like a little paranoid and like, but my paranoia was, you know, I use hand sanitizer more than I normally did.
Yeah, wash your hands.
And that was kind of about it. Like, you know, generally a healthy person.
Don't cough.
So I wasn't too worried about it. Plus, you know, who knows? Whatever.
Yeah, to me, it was, you know, like I said, I was respectable and honored the situation when, you know, so, but I am glad it's over because I hated like putting the actors in masks. We bought some masks last year and it was just like, it's just not the same. I mean, we have masks like just regular like silicone or the foam latex ones we do, or even latex. Yeah, there's some of that here and there, but like everybody wearing a mask. And we did some facial coverings, and we would put appliances on them and try and make them like, and they were cool, you know. But like,
got through it, you did. But I saw a lot of haunts like in their photos, and I'm like, oh God, it looks bad.
Yeah,
oh, God, it looks bad. Or like you spent all their makeup staffs putting all the actors in makeup, but then they just put the COVID mask on. Yep. It's like like everyone in the world's wearing one of those, so like it's not scary.
No,
like, it just looks goofy. So at Slaughterhouse, we got a little creative, and I had Elizabeth just actually take all the, you know, masks that are, you know, there, which they're all pretty much custom ones except for some silicone, but a lot of them are custom ones that she makes for original characters. And we just got the heavy duty double layered, you know, cotton thing, whatever the ply was for the cloth mask that they make. And she literally went in and on the insides of all the masks, like put, you know, that fabric and glued it and like latex the edges, like sewed it in. So like we didn't have to do the COVID masks.
Right.
They were built into all the masks, and then it was like a lot easier. Cause then we didn't have that hokiness.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. We would get some, like the one character, the one zone leader in the basement, we had, she had like, it was almost like a welding mask. But it was like it kind of fit on her face and it was clear, so we could still put the makeup on her.
Yeah.
And she was wearing like just a jumpsuit, so she looked kind of like a. And then we did we had people in gas masks.
You get creative with it.
Yeah, you really had to. There was a couple spots where it was just like, you know, like we had these purge masks and we would put them on like up in our house and everything because it kind of fit up there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we'd do that. But there was a couple people that were like this guy in the butcher table. He was wearing one of the gaiters we got from Immortal. You know what I mean? Just throw that on. We put that on, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. I was just like, this sucks,
sometimes
dude.
you gotta just go, whatever.
Oh God, it was killing me.
Can we make this room darker?
Yeah, exactly. Can we just not have somebody in the saw table tonight? You know what I mean? Just put a mannequin or, you know, something fake in there.
Yeah, thank God that's over with, because it just killed the illusion, and it's gonna be a tough sell for any haunts that have like the hospital or the medical theme, because like after this, it's just, to me, I feel like, you know, because before it was cool, like the zombie outbreaks and the fucking medical masks, but now everyone's so over that to where it's gonna look cheesy now, or it's just not scary because everyone in the world just wore that exact same mask. So they're sick of it. You guys
gonna do a COVID room?
Yeah, people were saying that on like.
No,
I would see on the some of these silly haunt pages that I subscribe to just so I can laugh to myself at some of the comments people make. But some of these people were like, "Oh, a COVID theme house!" Like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why would you even say that, or why would you think anyone? And why would you think that's like cool or funny to like even? Like, whatever. Too soon.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Too soon.
Yeah, if Rick's saying it's too soon, then this is too soon, right? Man. Come on.
Yeah.
Now I didn't want to do anything like that. You know, because we already have like an infirmary, you know, downstairs, and we've got like our hospital, like our prison hospital or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like I already do that. So, you know, I already have had people like in face coverings, like, so I'm certainly not going to like, okay, let's write COVID on things and come on.
I'm sure there are plenty of boo barns out there that have done that this past year.
Right. Yeah.
COVID jokes. And it's like, no.
Nah, I'm kind of
lame.
I'm ready to move on from all that stuff and just get back to like makeups, haunting, like even the Warden's Widow last year, like she would like a lot of my outside actors, like I had masks for them, but I'm like, you're outside, whatever.
Right. Just don't hug people.
Yeah. She had a veil she put on, you know what I mean? And I was like, perfect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There you go. You're done. That's it. It's a face covering.
Yep.
I got to the point where I'm like, it's a mask. Well, it's a mask. Just wear it.
Yep.
Be done with it, and we'd have people come in like every day and like do this bio mist. They come in and just sanitize the, plus we did the hands, all that stuff that I'm just like, now I'm like, get out of here. I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
Just ready. I mean, the cleanliness, there's the parts you were talking about, like, as bad as this sounds, it would be like, we would always like take our costumes and we have the Lysol or the M-Bac, spray them all out. Last year we were doing laundry like every night. And we're like, yeah, let's keep doing that. You know what I mean? Let's keep it that way,
right.
Minus the temperatures on the way in. I hope we don't have to do that, but whatever.
Yeah. I partially had an idea to like turn like all the things you had to do, like the temperature check, the hand sanitizer, because it's a slaughterhouse, I've been toying with the idea of like incorporating those things into the show, no matter what, COVID or not, but have like proper video and signage that makes it like, fun and almost silly to where like you're, you gotta, clean your meat type thing, type shit or I don't know. It's had some fun ideas for like sterilization things like that, but probably won't even bother now because we didn't know last year, like, is this going to be a thing for like ever?
Yeah.
Because, there's that rumor too, like, because, you go to like a lot of, like you go to like China and stuff like that. There's people everywhere wearing those damn masks because of all the, shit over there and all this pollution and all that shit. So like, we're going to be stuck with this forever because there's some people that were saying like this is going to be here for a while, like with this shit. So like, all right, well, maybe
new normal.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, so we got to incorporate the show to be a pre-COVID thing.
Yeah,
but be scratching that. But we have improved on the intro of the show. That's going to be a lot different. The whole beginning presentation, the end is completely different. Like everything's going to be insanely dialed in this year, so it's pretty exciting. So hopefully, like I said, it'd be exciting to go into it without having to have customers wearing masks. And as we kept, I was on every actor this year because we didn't know who was going to show up undercover from the health, but we didn't know if anything was going to happen because you hear horror stories about people showing up and just to shut you down.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything by whatever COVID book that is out there.
Right.
So, but then we found out that we did all this stuff. We didn't have to go that crazy, but we did anyway.
Yeah.
Completely lost my train of thought on where I was going with that.
That's all right.
But whatever. Yeah. Wow. Like, what the hell was I about to say? I don't know.
Well, because we opened later than you, we had to, because when we set up and tear down, so with the uncertainty of everything, it was kind of hard to bring a crew on to set up. Like we usually do the whole month of September of setup because like the cell blocks, obviously we got to tear that down every year for the tours and all that stuff. The basement and the house we get to leave up. So we were able to go to your haunt on your opening. It was your opening. It wasn't your opening night, but it was your opening weekend when we came in. And we were like, because we were doing the same thing. We were like, all right, take this down, don't do this, don't do this. And then when we went through yours, we were like, all right, let's put this back up, put this back. You know what I mean? Because we were like, well, if it's kind of going to be okay or, other people are doing it, then at least we can say, hey, man, wouldn't throw you guys under the bus, but it would just be like, everybody's doing this. I mean, what's the big deal? We're cleaning it.
Yeah, what we found was that, because right away we're like, fuck, we had to take all these, because there's freezer flaps in every other room at our haunt, because it's Slaughterhouse and almost every room is a freezer or a factory room. So it's got those flaps, which, those are crucial because they block people's vision, seeing in the next room. They're more useful than just looking cool.
Right.
So I'm like, I was literally almost had anxiety when in my head I'm like, we ain't taking these down. Like this is it's gonna suck. So I got creative and like made some ripped out ones. So like, well, technically, if you turn sideways, you can get through this without touching it. That's good enough for me.
Right.
And then we just sanitized them every day. And then
that's what we did. Yeah.
And then I went to another haunt and they didn't do it like anything. And I'm like, what am I doing then? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was hard because you don't want to be like, these guys aren't doing, because we went to one too and it was just like, okay. And this was like early and I was like, wow, all right, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I got touched going through a couple times and I'm just like, we were preaching to our actors. Obviously sometimes there's touching incidental, but we're like, no touching, no touch passes this year.
Yeah.
Don't make sure and keep your distance. We were preaching that, when we were setting up the scenes, and I went through one and I was just, people are like grabbing my head and pushing me. I'm just like, and I'm just like, wow, okay. So, but I still was just like, nope, no, we're not doing that, just because we're going to at least be adhere to the guideline as far as like the social distancing. Because it was the same thing. I was told I was on a watch list. I got told that at some point in the season. It's like, the health department's watching you. I'm like, where did you hear that? Because I think they would just come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, they're watching. What does that mean?
They're in the trees.
Yeah. It's just like, what?
We're watching you.
They're stalking? Are they outside?
I'm sure they have other things to do.
Yeah. It's just
and they
like,
would just show up and slap me with a fine if they wanted to.
Right. And it's like, whatever. We'll deal with what we got to deal with, but we're doing what we can do.
Yeah.
But anyways, all that in the rear view mirror. You got the new show coming up this year with, the expanded stuff. Don't want to give anything away. So we're really excited to come up and see what you guys got going on this year for sure.
Yes, last year was, like I said, pretty damn good. But even what we're doing this year, it was like, man, last year sucked.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of expansions going on, and it's definitely going to be really cool. That was what I was trying to get to earlier. I was getting to what you said with the actors. It's like this year, because like it was so strict, like to where before we would go as far as we would go without physically touching customers. We would some of the actors would do it to where almost like by the movements, the customer is going to touch the actor before, an actor, touches, the customer. It would be pretty up close and personal without grabbing and touching people. But like this year, I was literally like, if I see anyone within 4 feet, you're fucking going home. No questions asked. You're fired. Like, so it was a little weird because everyone couldn't do their normal thing. Yeah. Plus with all the facial coverings under the masks and all like the extra stuff, everyone sounds like this now. Yeah. So it's like, that wasn't scary. So we actually took more dialogue away. Right. And just did more execution, and it just worked out better. So it's gonna be interesting going into this year. I'm gonna be like, okay, remember all that cool shit we did last year? We're still doing all that, but you guys can get closer to the customers, and you don't have to wear a facial, covering. Exactly. But we're still, gonna do. But I totally want to do what you're doing with the touch pass thing, because it's why not? They're already here, and there's I found that there's more people out there, obviously, when I show up to your haunt, and almost everyone in line's got the glow stick on. And I'm just like, the selfishness in me goes, that's money. Yeah. It makes the show cooler, for the actors that you allow to, touch, and stuff. Right. Because when it's a haunt where every actor is touching, obviously that's just stupid. But, when you incorporate it, like yours, there was only certain actors I noticed that got involved and did it, to where hey, I only know that actors A through B, A through D, whatever, are the ones doing it. So if there's ever a problem, it's like, well, it can only be these people. Yeah. So that's something I definitely want to try to incorporate, as well.
Some actors don't want to. Some actors don't want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? They're just.
I have a lot of actors that want to. Yeah.
But then so do we.
The ones that are too excited, you almost don't want them doing it though, because they're almost too into wanting to touch customers. Like, I don't know. You
got to train them, and you got to, you got to lay the guidelines and the rules down and be like, look, okay, like, and if you're wearing a touch pass here, the odds of you being inside of a cell are pretty high. You're going to probably get inside one, you know what I mean? Because you're going to get drug in there. That being said, they also know that if if someone is legit scared, the guests all know too, that like, if it's too much for them, they take it off and throw it down and they're done. You know what I mean? But most of them, they want it. They want that extra excitement to go along with it, because people they're wanting to have that feeling again. I talked about this a couple podcasts ago about wanting to have that feeling of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That like you said, we don't get that going in.
Right.
And I don't care how, like your place, like when you walk up, it's just like, this looks legit like, we're
Right.
going to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
But we know going in.
Right.
That ain't going to happen.
but
So when you can have that touch pass, especially in a place like yours or here, you're walking through solitary where it's mostly just darkness. And then someone grabs you. It's
it definitely helps for sure. So it's something I definitely want to try to toy into over there. One of the coolest ways I've seen the touch the full contact stuff is a haunt called 17 Door, 17th Door in California. I don't know the city, but that was the first time I was in a haunt where I felt like I was truly in like a weird nightmare.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like professional actors, and the way that they kind of like, they didn't like touch you to touch you. Like the way you kind of just got like pulled into another room, or like, they had a room that like it reenacted like a school shooting scenario. And like, jeez, this woman comes running up to you screaming like the teacher, and like grabs onto you, like literally like clenching to you, like, and you're like, what the hell is going on in this room?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, a kid that's supposed to kind of look kind of like a Columbine-ish thing comes in there, and he's shooting off. I swear he had to have real blanks.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like a real damn gun was going off. And I was in the room going,
wow,
what the hell is this? Like,
that was in California?
Yeah. And it was the cool, if anyone for 17 Door was watching, it was the coolest goddamn haunt I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's haunts, and then there's that. That place is on a whole different level. And they got this crazy story. It's about like it's like you're going on the journey of the misfortunes of this main character, and they have a lot of girls that are casted that look the same. So you see the same actor, but it's like all these, like she was, in prison. It was kind of like the Freddy Krueger thing where, Freddy Krueger was the son of 1,000 maniacs or, whatever. So she gets, raped in a psychological thing, and then all these bad things. So you're going through all these timelines of these bad things happening to this girl, and it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bizarre
and
so interactive. And like, you're in these, it's not like you're going through a haunt. You're like in a room, and like something happens, and you're going to another room, and like something, these, it's very theater. Yeah. And executed well.
That's cool.
All professional masks. The smells are just like ridiculous, and the senses, and like I said, the interactiveness. It like, I felt like something like might happen to me. Like, I feel like like I'm in this weird nightmare world. Yeah.
That's killer.
It was really cool. And I happened to go there because I was on tour, and there was a night off in October, and anytime I'm on tour and it's fall season, no matter what state I'm in, I'm looking up like, what's the nearest damn haunted house? Because who gets to have that opportunity where you're basically, your travel's paid for to go see all these different haunts and learn some shit. And I wound up going there randomly. I'm like, oh, this place looks cool. I took an Uber. It was like $30 Uber to get there. Went by myself. Yeah. And it was like, I've been talking about it ever since to people. I'm like, if you're ever in California, check out 17 Door.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's ridiculous.
You've probably been to then tons of them then if that's what you're doing.
I've had to been over 100 different haunts.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's never any in Europe though. Never any in Europe or UK.
Really?
Every time I'm over there, it's like not a thing. It's weird.
That is weird. We sent some masks to Germany before. And believe it or not, China. We've sent some masks over there, not Blood Prison, but Creature Core.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that is kind of weird. But that would be like a great opportunity, especially doing what you do on tour, because you wear a mask, right? Yeah, so you got the mask on. Did they want to see like they want to get pictures, Stitch or Mushroom Headed?
Sometimes when I go to the haunts, but sometimes I just go quietly. Like I'll just go buy a ticket, go through. And enjoy, because I never like hit places up and like, hey, get me in for free. Because I'm the same guy that goes, don't hit me up for a free ticket. Buy a damn ticket to the concert. Right. You support art. You have to pay for art. You pay for entertainment.
Right. It's mutual. We buy your ticket. You buy ours.
Gladly buy a ticket. But sometimes like if it's a haunt that like I maybe have heard about before, like I'll hit them up on Facebook like, hey, I'm in town, just letting you know I'm coming up to the show tonight and I'm going to buy a ticket, knowing that more than likely they'll probably hit me up. Yeah. because I'm more interested in like, I want to see like your operations. I want to see your makeup room. I want to meet your cast. Like things like that excite me. I don't want to just walk through, you know.
Kind of get the full experience.
Yeah, I want to see everything. So almost every time they'll write me back and go, "Oh my God, half my staff listens to you." You know what I mean? Because it's that same type of, you know, thing. If you Mushroom Head, ICP, Guar, Slipknot, I mean, most people that work in haunted houses listen to that music. You know, it's mostly that demographic. So it has turned into, some of that where, you know, some people want an autograph or a photo, and I'll tag them, you know, tag their haunt online. And it's just cool because it's good networking. Because then I'm like, I do a haunted house too in Ohio. And they're like, oh my God. So it's all cool.
I saw a picture of you on Instagram, maybe. I don't remember exactly where. Which I would think it's one thing to be like, Stitch is coming, you know, or I'm coming, you know, we're in town, you know, on tour, we're going to hit your haunt or whatever. But I saw a picture of this girl that had you tattooed on her arm. That's got to be weird. Isn't that kind of weird to think about? Did you know her, or is that just a fan?
I mean, that wouldn't be, not to sound like, you know, whoa, blah, but that wouldn't be the first time I've seen. Every other week that I see another photo online of someone that's, you know, got, you know, my mask, you know, or my likeness tattooed on them. I mean,
that's crazy.
It's cool. It's flattering, but I always I'm just weird about it because I'm so like just humbled about everything. I'm just like, I always want to be like, why'd you do that? Like, that's always my first reaction of like, why the fuck? But then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that probably meant the world that they even can show me this. And it meant enough to them. And I get it. And I was younger, I would have, you know, wanted a Marilyn Manson tattoo or like something. So I get it. Like, so I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. But in my head, I'm just like, wow, I hope you really like the band.
I got a lot of friends that got the X's.
Yeah, that's, you know, everywhere.
I've seen that, but I've never, and it's not like I've searched it. I just happened to come across it. Well, it might have been on the Mushroom Head page, maybe. I don't remember. But this girl had this on her arm of you, and I've never seen. I mean, obviously, back in the day, I almost got, and I'm so glad I didn't do this, but I almost got CFH tattooed on the back of my neck.
Good thing you didn't.
No, God, I'm so
nothing against Pantera.
No,
but
they're one of my favorite bands ever, and I love them.
Older adult with Cowboys from Hell tattooed on your neck, like you just got out of prison. Like
one of the guys on my crew, Mike, he's my you know my builder. He does all my tag. He does the carpentry. He's amazing. He's got CFH tattooed on the back of his. And I'm like, I saw it when the first times I met him. I bust his balls a lot. And I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't do that. He's like, what is that? I almost did the exact same thing. So there'd be two fucking idiots walking around with CF. He's like, fuck you, man. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, But I saw that, you know, see all the crazy people that's got like Slayer like carved into their arms or whatever. And I'm just like, holy shit, man. I'm a fan. Don't get me wrong. Last show I went to was Slayer. You know, Primus, they did their farewell tour. I wouldn't carve their name in my arm.
No.
That's crazy.
I'll just buy tickets and t-shirts.
Yeah, there you go. Did you ever do, I'm assuming this is probably a big no, but would you ever do like Stitch in a haunt, like wear that mask? You ever done that?
No, and I've been asked to, and to me it's just cheesy because that's not a character that to me makes sense in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, because that character belongs on the stage doing what that character does on stage.
Right.
To then be in a haunted house would just be weird to me.
Sure.
There was one time though that I did, but it wasn't anything other than we played this radio festival in Arizona, and it was on the property of Fear Farm. Probably heard of Fear Farm.
Yes.
They're out in, is it not Phoenix? I can't remember. It was Arizona. But
somewhere in the desert.
It was a big radio festival. Deftones were on it. We were on it. Fucking tons of people. And I didn't know that it was on the property of this haunted house. I thought we were on this farmland. Like no one had told me all day long that there was a haunted house, like, you know, less than a half a mile behind us. And then I kept seeing these two like all day. I'm just because it was hot as hell, it didn't really go far other than like the stage to watch other bands and like the catering tent. But there's these two like clowns walking around. And this is back before every clown out there had the green and purple hair everywhere and the striped socks. It was Tremors and Flinch. That was their like actor names, but they were like the main mascot clowns for Fear Farm. And they were like passing out flyers and giving. I'm like, what do you guys like? Because right away I'm like, oh, some people dress up like it's Halloween. I'm gonna go talk to them,
Right.
You know, like, what are you guys doing? Like, what do you guys dress up like this? You guys like playing tonight or something? Like, what's your deal? And they're like, no, we work at the haunted house over there. And I'm like, huh? Haunted house? They're like, yeah, Fear Farm. It's like huge place over here, and it's massive. And I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing after. You're open tonight. Like, yeah, we're open. I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing after 8 o'clock when I'm done.
Right.
So, fun story. I dropped acid.
Nice. Always fun to do going into a haunt.
I dropped and stayed in costume and had the time of my life.
The acid helped, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have obviously a Halloween costume, but you know, I just went in and I was just like tearing it up over there. They had like this part where you went underground and it was all full of like those ball pit balls.
Yeah.
Like literally like up to your waist. And this is huge.
That's pretty killer.
Underground cavern with like a big ball pit. So I was just like in there. Like it was like me and a couple other guys were just like in there hiding in the ball pit, like just tripping, like laughing our asses off and like jumping out.
That's amazing.
It was pretty fun. One of the most memorable times. That was the only time I acted in a haunt in the mask.
Yeah. Well,
that was already, geez, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
And then, 13th Floor bought into them too. I think
really?
13th Floor. I think 13th Floor owns part of that now, or they produce the show there. I can't remember exactly. I think they own it now, but great show.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've never been to shows out there. I've been like to one in New Orleans, and it was one in like we went to a convention down there and hit the Mississippi.
What was in New Orleans? Was it Mortuary?
No, it was Rise. Rise Haunted House. And
I want to see Mortuary because I know Dembski does a lot of work at Mortuary.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he worked there. He did that one, and they did another one called Scout Island, where they did this like whole zombie laser tag type of deal he was telling me about. But the one that we went to, they was supposed to be open that year we went, but for whatever reason they changed it, and this other place called Rise opened up, and it's actually about half an hour north of New Orleans, and it was awesome. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It was almost like but it was like, wow, some of the, I'm not knocking, if my actors are listening, don't take this the wrong way, but their actors were probably, out of all the haunts I've been to everywhere, some of the best, like just into it.
Right,
and like
dialed in.
Yeah, committed to their, like there was this one girl, and I've never had this happen. I always told myself, don't you ever do something like this. But we went into this, it was like an asylum type of deal. And we walked in there and it was very theatrical. So we were stopping like every 5 minutes. We'd stop and then something would happen and then we'd keep going and get to the next scene. But that first one, we walk in there and there's this girl and she's wearing a hospital gown. And, didn't look like much else. She had this really long black hair, and she wasn't made up to look like the Exorcist girl, but she kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Right.
But she's just rolling around on this bed and rolling around on the floor, and we're just like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? And she gets up, and she said the one line that I don't want to hear. I tell all my actors, if I ever hear you say this.
What, come play with me?
Exactly.
I already knew where this was going.
She said, she asked me, do you want to play with me? And I'm sitting there just like,
can I punch you in the face now? Or
I'm just like, you just
ruined your whole act.
Yeah.
Could have just said nothing and it would have been fine.
Well, she bounced back because I go, and I was just sitting there and I just kind of, because someone was with me and I looked down and I was like, just like, really? Did she just say that? And I go, yeah, sure. And then she took her hair, because she had really long hair. She took her hair, hit her head back and flipped her hair up. And like, it went over my head. And I just kind of looked, and she was like right there. And she just took her mouth and just drug it across mine. I was just like, ugh.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I was just like, and then I looked over and the people that were with me, they're like, and they just lost it. They started laughing because the look on my face was just like, I wasn't ready.
Right, yeah, pulled you out of your element on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool. Hats off to her, because that's a redemption for saying a stupid line. Maybe that's why she said the stupid line. Maybe. And then have the follow-up if anyone
she threw me off.
Answered.
Yeah. And I'm like,
because I do that. I'm that asshole in haunts when an actor says something stupid. I'll give them the answer that'll literally stump them, and you can see their brain like lock, and they're like, and then they just like leave because they say don't be an actor and ask the customer a question.
Yes.
Unless you're prepared for an answer.
Yeah.
You need to have a follow-up.
We had one, it doesn't work here anymore, but I'm not trying to shit on actors. I know they have a hard job and most of them are great.
Mm-hmm. They're fun to pick on though.
They are, yeah. And they give it back. Right. We have a great relationship. But there was this one guy, Brian was down. I forget, it was in the basement, I think. And he was telling me, he goes, do you know what happened down there? I was like, no. He goes, the one guy jumped out and was like, are you scared? And I was just like, oh my God. No, he didn't. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, just give me a rope.
I can hear Brian telling the story too. And it's even funnier in Brian's voice.
Yeah, it was, man. I was just like, oh my God.
Like, did you scared?
Did you talk to? He's like, well, yeah, I talked to him. I was like, he's like, I'm behind. He was hiding behind, watching what was going on. And so he's just like,
yep.
But yeah, there was those kind of things that happened that you're just like, oh man,
yep.
This isn't happening right now. But that one was a good one. That's probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most of like, the interaction with an actor where I was just like, and I've always told my actors, hey, put your mouth on somebody,
Yeah.
Why? Holy shit. And
right.
The funny thing is I met the owner of Rise at Transworld this year because he came by our booth and ended up buying something off by buying one of our drop window animatronics. And I was talking to him about that. And he was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I gave him all the credit. I was like, dude, your actors are great. They did a great job. They really delivered the show well. And he's like, he said, we train them. He's like, we train them hard. And they've even got YouTube channel where you can go on there and like watch how I was watching it.
Oh, check that out. Rise Haunted House.
Check it out.
Really? I know I've seen their logo just on social media, but know nothing about it.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, and it's in a one horse town, whatever. I mean, it's not in New Orleans. You know what I mean? It's close, but not close. You know what I mean? And that was really good. But yeah, man. So anything else with Chippewa Lake coming up?
No.
I was gonna ask you about off-season stuff. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
We're not. I know what you might be getting at.
Yeah,
but we haven't officially pulled that trigger yet.
Yeah.
But maybe something, I'll know something soon. But right now, there's nothing to report on that end.
Okay.
With Chippewa, it's hard to do anything that's not in the warm weather because it's so in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. We can't do winter out there. Right. If it snows, what are we going to do? Snowplow the woods? I mean, we can't.
Sure.
Out there, kind of, because we've talked about doing, the Carver Christmas and, and do like a, My Bloody Valentine. Like we can do all these events because the building's just here, just open it. Yeah. The show doesn't get torn down, but that building doesn't have heat, doesn't have, so when it's the middle of winter, it's freaking cold in there, which is cool because you see like the breath and shit, but no one wants to go in.
Who wants to work in that? Yeah.
No one's going to drive all the way out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of winter either. So we've kind of skipped those, but we're working on possibly something for the end of August, just like a pre kind of thing, but we're not sure yet if it's going to pan out yet.
Right.
Because we've still got all these upgrades to do and everything. So we're trying to not like let that overshadow.
Right.
But at this other location, if that does pan out, that's where we're going to go. Balls to the wall. I mean, if there's a Friday the 13th in the year, it's going to be open.
Right.
Every holiday is going to be open. I mean, I have like a light idea to make this next haunt, if it happens, be also double as a laser tag arena.
Oh, cool.
To where you can be open on weekends and maybe you just hire 3 monsters to run around the whole thing to make it kind of cool, but it's team on team.
Right.
It's just like a normal laser tag arena.
Sure.
But it looks like a Call of Duty map and it's kind of like,
that could be cool.
Kind of, that. So where you don't got to worry about a ton of staff because it's player versus player shooting each other, but you just sprinkle in a couple little things here and there. Because you can open up with like 5 staff members, if you're just dealing with something like that. Just to keep generating, money and to keep attention on the building. Because doing all that work and being only open for a month is just it's rough. It's like there's got to be other ways, and there is because people are hungry for entertainment. Yes. It just has to be good.
Yep.
And I think, even though escape rooms are big, they're already getting burnt out.
They are
on escape rooms. The next step is actually making an escape attraction to where like, how do you make a haunt where, you know,
man.
it'd be tough, but I've been to some that kind of lightly do that where, you know, it's not a full escape room, but there's a moment where like you get into a room and like it's you and a couple other groups, whatever, but like the room just like the doors close and like TV comes on and there's like, it's like a mini puzzle that's somewhat easy to solve because, you know, the throughput would suck if it took people forever, but it literally is strategically done to where it's like a minute and a half or something. But that was pretty cool. Just adding that element, you know?
Well, that is something that it seems to be evolving just in the haunted attractions from escape rooms, laser tag arenas, and now to add something like that. That could be really cool, like an escape not just a room where, you know, some escape rooms you go in like 3 or 4 different rooms, but that on a grander scale could be, that could be interesting.
Yeah. It's just how do you do it and make money?
Right.
Because you got to get a lot of people through something like that to make it worth it.
That would be something that's, I mean, if you're big enough, you know, you could charge a premium price.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because you know you're not going to get, you know, 1,000 people through in a night. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
And then the reset, that would be tricky.
It would be tricky.
I mean?
It would be a lot of, you know, planning out, and you'd have to have, you know, multiple backup scenarios to where, okay, if someone doesn't get out quick enough that there's not people standing outside a room waiting to get in, like, because then it just takes the thrill out of it.
That could be interesting.
I had ideas with like overnight things, like, you know, trying to
the camp out type stuff.
Yeah, but then again, it's like you can only do a certain amount of people, and is it worth it at the end of the day? And then the insurance and all that. Because I had a cool, you know, set up a horror scenario for people, you know, but it's difficult.
Whether you come to you know, a haunted attraction, haunted house, whatever, or you work at them, you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, they just look at it as fun and entertainment. They don't realize the business end that goes into it and all the money that gets put out. Why are you selling a ticket for, you know, $50? Well, you know, because you're not waiting in that line and you're getting right in, and this isn't free. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, there's this, I don't know, pile of money somewhere or a money tree that you just put, you know, it's a business. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to make money. It's you don't want to, I mean, you want those people that are your passion people, you know, like I can tell you are, you know what I mean? I am. The guys in your crew, you know, you want passion people. You want them to be here to do the job because they love it. But at the end of the day, they still want paid, you know? So that it's that tricky part when you're trying to find something new to put out there. Like something like that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and most people don't realize that, you know, half the money you make just goes towards paying your bills.
Yeah.
You know?
Paying your staff, paying your bills.
I see actors make those jokes all the time, like, oh, all these, they see the long line and they're like, oh, look at all this money that's coming in. It's like, you realize that it costs like $500,000 just to build the place? Like, you realize that it's like X amount in just staff pay a night? Do you realize that it's X amount just to have the fire department? Like, shut up. Like,
I had a couple people, you know, talk to me about how rich I am.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, who? One of this guy used to work for me. Asked me, he's like, can I borrow $200? And I was like, dollars? What are you talking about? Yeah, man, just till Friday. And I'm like, I have $25 in my wallet. No, I'm not giving you $200. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what do you? No, I got bills. I got a wife and kid at home. I got a 2 kids or 3 kids technically, but you know, no, you know this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I make money obviously, but it's just like, you know, it's a business. You know, the everybody makes money here. The crew makes money. You know, so at the end of the day, you gotta. But it's a fun business. Before I worked at Creature Core. I still do, and then, you know, but before that, I mean, I worked in a factory. I got a real job because I was doing like audio stuff, you know, and it was kind of freaky, just like you talking about with the COVID thing. You'd be like, oh man, I don't want to be flipping burgers at Burger King. But even before that hit, I got to the point where I'm like, you know, maybe I should just get a real job, you know, and I did, and it was like, yeah, this blows. Not. I know there's people because, you know, that do real jobs and that's just their thing. But it just wasn't for me. You know what I mean? So I knew I had to get back into it, and, you know, here we are. You know what I mean? But it's still, I got mouths to feed, whether it's the crew or my family. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's got a business aspect to it for sure. You know, that people got to understand.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I wish we could just open the haunt and let everybody in for free.
Right.
No.
No.
It ain't going to happen.
No.
So you
That's
hear
what all
this-
the yard haunts are for.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, we were talking. I was talking with House about that, and when he did his first haunt, when he opened his first haunt in his mom's basement, when he was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like 50 cents. We would charge 50 cents, and you'd come in and walk through. I'm like 50 cents. That's amazing. Now it's nothing like that.
Used to when I was really, really young, because that just triggered. I remember that it was like the one year I did that at my friend's house where he like, you know, made his parents' garage like all scary, and they only let us do that once.
Yeah.
After the once, they're like, you ain't doing that again.
You see, they're opening that haunted house place in Cleveland, like a haunted house restaurant.
I was already online making jokes about it because that's why
Yeah.
I love talking shit online about
Yes,
stuff.
I've noticed.
Yeah. So I literally made a comment. I'm like, I hope it's more than just red walls and a Nightmare Before Christmas poster.
Yeah.
Because we have a goth bar in our city, and it's not a goth bar. They have like one Freddy poster on the wall, and it's a pool table, and there's literally nothing goth about it, but it's called the goth bar.
The goth bar.
So I'm like, oh, well, how good's this haunted house restaurant going to be? You know, because this is the thing, you hear about it and your brain's like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then you go and they're not even close to hitting the mark on the concept. And you're like, it should have been this. Like, if I had the money, I could have opened something cooler than this. Like, and it just sucks. But who knows if that's actually going to be cool? I mean, their sign, the logo looks cool. Like someone's got money. That sign didn't look cheap that they had made. I don't know if you saw the photo, but
I did. Yes.
I'm like, well, that looks pro. Hopefully the inside looks cool, because if not, people are going to go there once and go, I'm good. Like if it's not cool,
what is it going to be though? Is it going to be like? Is it going to be menus? Yeah. Well,
like,
this is like the Michael Myers burger
like,
or whatever. Yeah. You know,
how far can you take it? But there's a sweet place in Des Moines, Iowa, of all places, called Zombie Burger.
Yeah.
And they have phenomenal burgers, phenomenal shakes. Like, but it's not really themed that much, but all their sandwiches are. But it's phenomenal food.
Yeah.
So I literally go there every time, not because it's cool horror themed.
Right.
It's because their fucking burgers are phenomenal. Like, you can get milkshakes with like all the old style breakfast cereals put in there, and they do like vodka spiked drinks and shit. So like you get like, you know, fruity Pebble milkshakes, but they're like alcoholic versions. And,
that's interesting.
But their burgers are awesome. But that place is very successful. Like you go there and it's always just slammed.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I saw the post on it and I was like, that could be interesting. You know, French fries shaped like fingers. I don't know. Is that what it's going to be, or is it going to be just
I don't know.
You know, we're going to name this fish sandwich after Jaws. You know?
And that's where they end it. But I don't know. Hopefully, you do something cool, because it's easier for people to suck than it is to actually make something cool, which is I see, because it's always like, oh, there's cool things opening, and it's like lame. You know, or like even like our aquarium downtown's freaking lame.
Yeah,
because everyone got excited, like, oh, we're getting an aquarium suite, and everyone thought it was going to be like the Atlanta aquarium, where you see all that crazy footage where you're like in the big domes and there's huge whales swimming over you. Everyone thought we were getting that. You go there, it's like a pet store.
Yeah,
freaking lame.
It's
big
just
bummer.
Goldfish aquariums everywhere. I'll have that one. You know. All right, man. Well, if you haven't been to the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, you guys got to get up there and check that out, because it's killer. I've been there. It's awesome. Always love coming and always love having you here. I hope we can come back and have you come back again on the podcast and everything. And we will be up for sure to check out the new stuff going on at Chippewa Lake.
Yeah, because we open the week before you do.
Yes, the 25th.
Yeah, just that Saturday. Yeah, because
same
kind of similar. Because why don't you open till October? Is it because of the touring? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
probably not a question to ask you on the air.
No, it's fine. No, there's, it sucks, because there was like, there's, like I say, there's something every year around here that I got to deal with. Whether it's fire suppression, which we had to deal with, which we did, in the giant stone and brick steel building.
Yeah, that might burn down. The stone burns.
Yeah. So we had to do it. But, it's required.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we did it. It's no big deal. It was a big deal. But we did it. We got it done. So there's always something every year that comes along. So not this year, we didn't open till late last year, but that was another reason. But it is about, because, that's one thing that I'm jealous about with you guys is you got the building and it is what it is all year round. Here, it's a tourist destination, Shawshank Redemption building.
Yep.
So we got to, play.
They got a lot of business with the touring, and you almost got to take the back seat for that a little bit.
Yes and no. I mean, they still do tours, like even during the Halloween season now, where they can just kind of let people come in and do the front of the building, and then they'll go up to the chapel area, and then let them walk the top tier of the east cell block, so it can just do a loop, and then they come back in. They don't get to go down, obviously, because we got all of our sets in the cell blocks and everything, but they still do that. And I mean, it helps for the building because the building itself is why we're here. We want to preserve the building. We want to restore it. And, but it also sucks for us because the original haunt, you got to go in the front of the building back in the day. Now, it's funny because like the first year when I was still working with Robert Kurtzman, we got it that year in 2016 and we couldn't, that's the year they took the front of the building away. So it was only the back. So, which kind of sucked because, there's a lot of cool things you could do in those rooms up there.
Right.
Which to me, in the previous haunt, that was almost the coolest part of the haunt, was coming in and going up those steps and getting in the front admin part of the building. That was kind of the coolest part.
Right.
For me, honestly, the cell blocks were a little disappointing. You know what I mean? But that was just me.
Right.
I know, I know a lot of people liked it and a lot of people hated it, but that's why we try to add where we can. But the tourism part of it is definitely a a necessary evil. I don't want to call it evil even, but I mean, it's what they have to do. But we still get to, haunt here and we love it and everything. So we are, losing. We used to open on like the same day, the 25th, but so that's kind of what's happening there. Not a big deal. We still get 5 good weekends and it's all October and, so it works out well, but is what it is. Shawshank, man.
Do you do like the blackout events or anything like that?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
It probably would be a way more of probably a safety hazard. I would think because of the style of building that it is here.
Yeah, but we are going to do
people banging into shit everywhere
on the steps, like there's
their heads on steel cages and shit.
Yeah, because some of that stuff we can't move.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So people just, I've seen people split their head open when everything was lit.
Right.
So
I just asked because we do ours the final that weekend. We always do the first weekend of November, whatever that falls on. We always do the blackout event, and our reviews from that are just insane. Like there's people that wait now until they're like, I'm coming for the blackout event, or they'll come again because we just give every group a flashlight, all the lights are out, and just make it super, Scooby-Doo, like horror movie.
Does that slow them down a lot when you do that?
Yep. Yeah. But we just do a little less people again, and it worked good with the time ticketing. But but mostly the weekend after Halloween, it's slower anyway. You just kind of get the stragglers and people that are really into it. But it's kind of a cool way to end, end the show cool, something different.
You gonna do that then, like the first weekend in November?
Yeah, that's gonna be. We did it for the first time 2 years ago, and it's right away, Vaughn and I talked about it. We, put it forward. And as soon as we did it, we're like, yep, we're doing this every damn year. So
we tried doing a rewind one year. We called it Rewind. It was the last kind of spur of the moment type of thing. And I think it was the 18 season. And the last night we were open, we had everybody go in like from reverse. They went in at the end of the haunt and came out at the beginning. And people were really kind of perplexed. They didn't really know what to think about that. You know what I mean? They were just like, this is kind of weird. And it kind of freaked people out. It was kind of cool. But I was like, nah, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. That wasn't, it didn't go off like I had hoped it would.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a few people came back, said, we came back because we want to try that. So it was just like you walk into the chainsaw room, and leave out of the front of the house. So it was kind of cool because when you go through solitary and then up to where our house set is, at that point they weren't really, because when you go in the front, you see the big house, which kind of you're getting into. In this instance, you couldn't. So that was kind of the idea. It's like they don't really know, what are we doing? Where did all this come from? You know what I mean? For people that hadn't made it yet, but it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. But listen, man, it was great having you on. I love working with you. So if anybody, you get a chance to go to the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse again, check it out. It's up by Medina. It's a newish haunt. You've been around a few years now, but
Yeah, fifth year is this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
well worth it. Going to do the time ticketing again this year, so you'll have a really
Yep.
intimate experience for sure.
Yeah, we're still going to take walk-ups, but then we're also going to push it like, hey, there's no guarantee you're going to get in.
Right.
Try to push it more as the exclusive, like I said, the exclusive club, and
Yeah,
got to get your tickets to see it.
right. Check out the new Ventana album as well, The Nature of Betrayal.
Yep.
Listen to it. It's great, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff. Put it in your haunt.
Not playing music in the haunt.
There you go. All right, Rick. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good one.